Hello friend, so glad you're here tonight. Get comfortable, pull the covers up, and let the day loosen its grip. There's nowhere else you need to be. Before we begin, a small request. Most of the people listening tonight aren't subscribed. If this channel has ever helped you drift off, take a moment to subscribe and tap the like button on tonight's video. Both are free, they take 2 seconds, and they help this channel more than you'd think. And you can always change your mind later. And if you feel like it, leave a comment telling me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is where you are. I love reading them. Tonight is a slow drift through the real story of Socrates, one true thing at a time. There is nothing to do here and nothing to remember. Each one will pass like a slow cloud, some familiar, some quietly surprising, all of them real. If you fall asleep somewhere in the middle, that is exactly how this is meant to work. Settle in, let your breathing slow down, and we will begin. One more thing before we begin. I'm also a co-founder of a sleep app built to be the most affordable one out there. No ads, ever. Just sounds and stories made to help you sleep. It may not be released yet as this video goes up, but if you're watching a little later, it might be out by now. Just search for it, it should be easy to find. It works on iPhone, Android, and everything in between. Downloading it is the best way to support this channel. Socrates was an ancient Greek philosopher who lived in Athens in the 5th century BCE. Born in the city itself, he came into the world in 469 BC, a time when Athens was a bustling centre of culture and thought. His life unfolded amidst the marble temples and agora where ideas were exchanged, and his presence would leave an indelible mark on Western philosophy. The city experienced tumultuous times, including an oligarchic coup known as the 30 Tyrants, a shadow that loomed over the city after its defeat in war. Despite the turbulence, Socrates' teachings endured, echoing through time, reminding us of the resilience and power of philosophical thought. His dialogues, often recorded by Plato and others, captured the essence of his teachings. They emphasize questioning assumptions and seeking wisdom through conversation. This method, known as Socratic dialogue, was a breakthrough in educational practice. Through these exchanges, he challenged conventional beliefs, encouraging individuals to think critically and independently. Socrates' approach to learning was not about imparting knowledge directly, but guiding others to discover it for themselves. This hands-on method involved asking questions that prompted self-reflection and deeper understanding. The absence of written records from Socrates himself underscores his focus on oral exchange and the dynamic nature of philosophical inquiry. His impact is evident in the numerous texts chronicling his dialogues, highlighting the enduring influence of his teachings across generations. His dialogues were not lectures, but collaborative explorations, fostering a sense of shared discovery among participants. Through questioning, Socrates aimed to reveal the flaws in superficial reasoning, encouraging interlocutors to delve into the true nature of their beliefs. The lack of written text from him emphasizes his belief in the living, evolving process of philosophical inquiry rather than static doctrine. This approach created a ripple effect, inspiring others to adopt and build upon his methods. Socrates was the inspiration for Plato, who in turn served as the teacher of Aristotle. This trio of ancient philosophers, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, formed a renowned lineage, each building upon the ideas of the one before them. Their thoughts and discussions were recorded by Plato and Xenophon, who meticulously captured the wisdom passed down through generations. The influence of these great thinkers has echoed through time, their teachings shaping philosophical thought for centuries. In quiet Athenian streets, Socrates would engage in dialogues that sparked Plato's curiosity and ignited his desire to document their exchanges. These writings became the foundation for Aristotle's education as he studied under Plato and further developed the philosophies they had explored together. Their collective wisdom has been preserved through the ages, creating a legacy that continues to inspire modern thought. These philosophers' conversations often occurred in informal settings, allowing for candid exploration of ideas. Through his meticulous recording, Plato ensured that the essence of their discussions would not be lost. Aristotle, studying these written records, expanded on the theories and applied them to new areas of thought. The continuity from one philosopher to another created a seamless flow of knowledge and understanding. Their dialogues were not rigid lectures, but rather open exchanges that encouraged questioning and reflection. Plato's careful transcription allowed Aristotle to delve deeper into the philosophical foundations laid by Socrates and himself. Through this process of documentation and study, the core ideas evolved and branched out into new realms of thought. This method of passing down knowledge ensured that each philosopher built upon the insights of their predecessor. The philosopher Socrates lived from approximately 469 to 399 BCE. This means he spent nearly 70 years walking the dusty streets of Athens, engaging in conversations that would shape Western philosophy. The dates are not exact, as records from ancient Greece often rely on oral tradition and the memory of those who came before. They were likely calculated by historians many generations later, piecing together fragments of time like a delicate mosaic. In the city of Athens, Socrates' presence was a constant, his wisdom echoing through the marble buildings and bustling agoras. His lifespan bridged critical periods in Greek history, from the Persian Wars to the Peloponnesian War. The knowledge we have of these specific years comes from the writings of those who knew him, notably Plato and Xenophon, who recorded his teachings and dialogues for future generations. He wandered the city, exchanging thoughts with fellow citizens in the marketplace and on the streets. Through these conversations, he explored profound ideas about virtue, justice, and the nature of reality. These exchanges were not mere chats, they were rigorous explorations, often leading to new insights or challenging existing beliefs. His method of questioning, now known as the Socratic method, aimed to stimulate critical thinking rather than provide definitive answers. Through this method, Socrates helped others discover truths within themselves. He did not write anything himself, relying on the memories of those he spoke with to preserve his ideas. His impact spread slowly, like a ripple effect, through generations who passed down his teachings. The exact date of Socrates' birth is unknown, but it is estimated to be around 470 or 469 BCE. This estimate is based on historical records and calculations that place his birth in Athens during this period. The city of Athens, with its marble buildings and bustling agora, was where Socrates drew his first breaths. Scholars use surviving texts and architectural clues to pinpoint his birth within a year or two. The ancient Athenians likely celebrated his arrival in their homes, lit by oil lamps, unaware of the philosophical revolution he would spark. Over time, these estimations have been refined through careful study of historical artifacts and documents. The enduring interest in Socrates' life ensures that these estimates will continue to be scrutinized, ensuring his legacy remains accurately placed in history. The exact date of Socrates' birth remains elusive despite diligent research. Ancient chronicles provide only approximate timelines for his life. Detailed analysis of contemporary events helps narrow down the possibilities. The lack of definitive records underscores the challenge in pinpointing his precise birth date. The absence of precise records from Socrates' era complicates efforts to determine his birth date with certainty. Each historical document consulted offers a piece of the puzzle, yet none alone provides a complete picture. The study of ancient timelines involves comparing disparate sources and reconciling their slight discrepancies. Fragments of information must be meticulously examined to draw even tentative conclusions about his birth date. Each piece of evidence is carefully weighed against others to form a consensus on his birth year. Subtle nuances in the language used by chroniclers provide clues about when he was born. The process involves piecing together fragments from various sources, like a historical jigsaw puzzle. On February 15, 399 BCE, Socrates was sentenced to death by the people of Athens. This city, nestled among rolling hills in the Aegean Sea, had been his home since birth. The sentence came after a lifetime spent questioning and teaching in its markets and courtyards. Socrates, born circa 470 BCE, had reached the age of 70 when he faced this final moment. His life was one of unwavering commitment to truth and dialogue, a journey that spanned 7 decades in Athens, Greece. The decision to end his life came not from far-off lands or distant rulers, but from the very people among whom he had walked and talked for so long. The trial and its outcome were recorded by those who observed, preserving his story for future generations. This trial marked a turning point in Athenian history, where the city's values of open discourse and democratic governance were put to the test. The verdict was reached through the same democratic process that Socrates had long advocated for, highlighting the complexities and tensions within such a system. The charges against him, including impiety and corrupting the youth, reflected the growing unease among some citizens towards his relentless questioning of their beliefs. The recorded accounts of this event, most notably by Plato, serve as a primary source for understanding Socrates' teachings and the societal context in which he lived. His death sentence was carried out in the spring of that year as he drank a cup of hemlock poison in front of his grieving friends and followers. The cup had been provided by the state, following established protocols for capital punishment in Athens. The event took place within the walls of the city, marking an end to Socrates' life among the people who both revered and resented him. Despite the harsh outcome, his ideas and teachings continued to resonate, passed down through the generations by those who remembered his words. Socrates fought at the Battle of Potidaea in 432 BCE. This battle took place on a stretch of land where the Macedonians once held sway, now under Athenian control. Shields clashed, arrows flew through the air, and dust rose from the ground as soldiers marched forward. The city of Potidaea, with its towering walls and narrow streets, stood in the distance. History remembers this battle not for its scale, but for the presence of Socrates among the fighters. It is known that he served bravely on the front lines, his actions recorded by those who witnessed them firsthand. Socrates' valor in this conflict was noted by his peers, contributing to the formation of his enduring reputation. These accounts were later transcribed into written texts, preserving his deeds for posterity. The fact that he fought at Potidaea underscores his commitment to Athens, demonstrating loyalty beyond philosophical discourse. The battlefield was the stage where Socrates demonstrated his courage and dedication to his city-state. His bravery during this encounter set a precedent for how a philosopher could also be a warrior. Reports of his actions were passed down through generations, ensuring that future scholars would recognize his military prowess alongside his intellectual pursuits. His deeds on the battlefield provided a glimpse into his character, revealing a side of him that complemented his philosophical inquiries. The oral testimonies from those who fought alongside him offered vivid details of his bravery, ensuring the accuracy of the accounts. Over time, these stories became ingrained in the collective memory of Athens, shaping the perception of Socrates as a multifaceted figure. His actions at Potidaea serve as a reminder that even deep thinkers can exhibit exceptional valor in times of conflict. Xenophon wrote 2 works called Memorabilia and Apology that offer more insights into Socrates' life and philosophy. He was a disciple of Socrates, joining him sometime between the years 403 and 401 BCE. Xenophon's writings date back to around 425 BCE, capturing moments from his time with Socrates. These texts are significant because they provide additional perspectives on Socrates' thoughts and actions. They were likely penned by Xenophon himself, as he was known for documenting historical events in which he participated. His writings serve as a window into the life of Socrates, offering details that might have otherwise been lost to history. Xenophon's first-hand accounts are precious resources for historians, providing context and depth to Socrates' philosophy. Through his writing, the nuances of Socratic dialogue emerge clearly. Without Xenophon's diligent record-keeping, much of what we know about Socrates might be lost forever. Xenophon's accounts offer vivid descriptions of Socrates in action, helping to bring his character and methods to life. They illuminate the subtleties of Socratic questioning, revealing how he guided others toward understanding. These records were likely created over time as Xenophon observed and reflected on Socrates' teachings. The consistency and detail in his writing suggest a dedication to accurate representation. Xenophon's accounts are invaluable as they capture Socrates' thought processes and interactions with others. They reveal the philosopher's approach to questioning, emphasizing his method of leading people to their own realizations. The detailed descriptions allow readers to grasp the essence of Socratic dialogue and its transformative power. Through Xenophon's writing, scholars can delve deeper into the mindset of one of history's greatest thinkers. The primary sources about Socrates are the dialogues of Plato, the writings of Xenophon, and the plays of Aristophanes. His teachings were largely conveyed through these dialogues, with Plato being the principal chronicler. Plato's dialogue format allows us to envision Socrates engaging in philosophical debates with his contemporaries. After Socrates' death in 39 BCE, Plato fled to Megara, carrying with him the wisdom and conversations he had shared with the great philosopher. These sources provide a window into Socrates' life and thoughts, offering a glimpse of his philosophical methods and beliefs. These dialogues offer a unique perspective into ancient Greek philosophy as they capture the spontaneous nature of Socratic questioning and discussion. They illustrate his method of elenchus, where he challenged others' views to stimulate critical thinking. Plato's choice of format preserves the immediacy and intimacy of these philosophical exchanges. Through these texts, we gain insight into how Socrates explored ideas with those around him. These dialogues often begin with a specific question, prompting Socrates' interlocutors to explore their own assumptions. The conversations typically end without definitive answers, encouraging ongoing reflection. This style of documentation emphasizes the process of inquiry over the delivery of fixed truths. By preserving these interactions, Plato enables modern readers to engage with the same philosophical issues, fostering a sense of continuity across centuries. These texts allow us to observe Socrates' method of questioning in action, revealing his approach to exposing contradictions and inconsistencies in others' beliefs. They demonstrate how he guided discussions towards greater clarity and understanding, even if definitive conclusions were not always reached. This method underscores the importance of self-examination and intellectual humility. By avoiding direct assertions, Socrates invited his interlocutors to discover truths for themselves. Socrates' method laid the groundwork for Western systems of logic and philosophy. His approach involved questioning, probing for truth through conversation. This dialectical process became a blueprint for philosophical inquiry. It emphasized clarity and coherence, shaping how we think about reasoning. Scholars studied his dialogues, analyzing their structure. They noted the systematic examination of ideas. This method was not just a way to teach, but a model for rigorous thought. Its influence spread through texts and discussions. Today, it's the basis for much of our logical framework. Socrates never wrote his own ideas down, instead relying on students and observers to record them. This oral tradition ensured his methods were passed on through direct interactions with others. The absence of written texts by Socrates allowed for interpretations and adaptations in various contexts over time. Scholars continue to examine these recorded dialogues, finding new insights and applications in contemporary thought. This direct transmission of ideas encouraged a dynamic exchange, as each generation could reinterpret and build upon the previous one's understanding. The lack of written records necessitated careful memorization and recitation by Socrates' followers, ensuring his teachings were preserved with diligent care. These dialogues, often captured in real-time interactions, offered a raw and immediate glimpse into the thought process, making them vivid and engaging for subsequent learners. The ongoing dialogue format also promoted critical thinking, as participants were encouraged to question assumptions and defend their views, creating a continuous chain of philosophical exploration. This method emphasized the importance of dialogue and open-ended inquiry. It valued the process of questioning over definitive answers. Through conversation, ideas were refined and tested. The absence of fixed texts allowed for a fluid and evolving understanding of Socrates' teachings. Socrates' philosophy has influenced many later philosophers, including the founders of modern Western philosophy. The ideas he shared in ancient Athens continue to ripple through time, shaping the thoughts and writings of thinkers who came after him. His method of questioning, known as the Socratic method, has been adopted by educators and philosophers alike, encouraging critical thinking and open dialogue. Through his interactions with others, Socrates planted seeds that would grow into complex systems of thought, influencing not just philosophy, but also education and ethics. His influence can be seen in the works of Plato and Aristotle, who were directly influenced by him, and in the ideas of many modern philosophers who look back to his teachings for inspiration. The impact of Socrates' philosophy is evident in the way we think about knowledge, truth, and the pursuit of wisdom today. His inquiries often began with simple questions that led to deeper reflection, fostering a sense of curiosity and self-awareness among those he engaged. Through these dialogues, Socrates helped individuals examine their beliefs and values, pushing them to clarify their thoughts and challenge assumptions. By refusing to provide answers himself, he prompted others to discover their own understanding, encouraging a lifelong journey of learning and introspection. Socrates' dialogue technique has stood the test of time, proving effective in various educational settings. By posing thought-provoking queries, he guided others to explore their own reasoning and logic. This method is now integral to many philosophical discussions and academic courses. Through persistent questioning, Socrates revealed the importance of examining one's beliefs thoroughly. His ideas on virtue and knowledge are captured in dialogues like Meno. The dialogue form, with its back-and-forth exchanges, was chosen to illustrate his thoughts. These conversations took place under the shade of trees, in quiet groves near the city of Athens. Each line of the dialogues was carefully crafted to explore the essence of wisdom and goodness. The scribe who recorded these words would have listened intently, capturing each nuance as it unfolded. Over time, these written exchanges have been studied by countless scholars, each line scrutinized for its deeper meaning. His words were penned with deliberate care, each phrase a tool to probe the nature of truth and ethics. The quiet rustling of leaves framed these exchanges, providing a peaceful canvas for profound thoughts. Each scribe's stylus etched wisdom onto parchment, preserving insights that echo through time. These records have been scrutinized under lamplight by diligent scholars, their meanings unraveled like threads from a tapestry. The parchment pages, now fragile with age, bear witness to those ancient conversations under the trees. Each stroke of the scribe's pen marks a moment of intellectual discovery. The dialogues were not just words, but pathways guiding seekers towards understanding. The ink on the parchment has faded over centuries, yet the ideas remain vivid. The act of dialogue served as a method to stimulate thought and challenge prevailing views. Each participant in these conversations brought unique perspectives that enriched the exploration of philosophical concepts. The written records of these dialogues have been passed down through generations, ensuring that the pursuit of wisdom continues. The method of questioning used by Socrates is documented in many of Plato's dialogues, such as the Republics. These conversations are recorded on papyrus scrolls, the brittle edges frayed from countless readings over centuries. In quiet study rooms, scholars carefully examine each line, tracing the path of Socrates' questions with their fingers. The dialogues capture real exchanges, echoing through time like whispers in an ancient library. Plato, a devoted student, committed these discussions to memory before committing them to paper, ensuring their accuracy and preservation. Each dialogue unfolds at a leisurely pace, allowing readers to follow the logical progression of Socrates' queries, much like a meandering river that reveals truths along its banks. Each dialogue begins with a simple premise, drawing the interlocutor into deeper waters through subtle inquiries that test assumptions and unveil hidden thoughts. The art of questioning relies on persistent probing, like gentle rain eroding the surface of rock to reveal what lies beneath. Through this method, the essence of ideas is slowly exposed, layer by layer, until clarity emerges. This process demands patience, both from Socrates and his interlocutors, as they navigate the complex landscape of thought together. The exchanges often start with a seemingly innocuous question, one that might initially seem trivial or mundane. Yet, the deceptive simplicity of these queries is what allows them to burrow deep into the consciousness of those engaged in the discourse. Through persistent follow-up questions, Socrates guides his interlocutors towards an understanding that transcends mere opinion. The slow unraveling of ideas through this method enables participants to confront their own biases and preconceived notions openly. The death of Socrates is presented in the Platonic dialogue, the Phaedo. This conversation took place shortly before his execution, with friends and disciples gathered around him. The dialogue was written by Plato, who was present at the scene, providing a first-hand account of Socrates' final moments. It delves into the philosopher's beliefs about the soul and immortality, giving insight into his thoughts during his last hours. This exchange occurs in a dimly lit room, the light fading as the sun sets on that Athenian day. Plato records each word spoken with meticulous detail, preserving the essence of Socrates' teachings for posterity. In this quiet space, Socrates explores the nature of death and its relationship to existence. He believes that true wisdom lies in understanding one's own mortality. Through his teachings, he guides those around him towards a deeper comprehension of life after death. The conversation unfolds at a steady pace, each word carefully chosen to convey profound ideas. Socrates encourages his companions to accept death as a natural part of life, emphasizing that fear of the unknown is merely an obstacle to true understanding. He uses logical arguments to support his views on the immortality of the soul, asserting that only what is corruptible can cease to exist. This belief stems from his observation of the world around him, where change and impermanence are constant. In turn, he teaches that the eternal and unchanging must be the soul itself, which continues to exist beyond physical death. Socrates argues that the soul's eternal nature is derived from its ability to contemplate and understand abstract concepts which cannot be destroyed. He reasons that since the soul interacts with the physical world but remains unaffected by it, it must be independent of the body. Through his method of questioning, he guides his followers towards recognizing this truth within themselves. This realization, Socrates maintains, brings a sense of calm and acceptance in the face of death, allowing one to embrace the end of life's journey with serenity. His method of questioning is now known as the Socratic method. This approach involves asking thoughtful questions to stimulate critical thinking and draw out ideas. It's a technique that allows individuals to explore their own thoughts deeply. The Socratic method has become synonymous with Socrates himself, reflecting his profound belief in the power of questioning over simple declarations. His dialogues often began with a seemingly basic query, guiding others through layers of reasoning until they reached new insights. This style of inquiry was first recognized and named after Socrates due to its transformative effect on those who engaged with it. Over time, this method has been embraced by many teachers and philosophers, ensuring that the legacy of Socrates' questioning lives on. The Socratic method encourages learners to question their assumptions and confront inconsistencies in their understanding. This approach helps individuals challenge their preconceived notions and uncover hidden truths within their own minds. It promotes a self-directed learning process where the individual discovers knowledge rather than being told what to think. By asking questions, Socrates believed that one could ignite a spark of curiosity within others, leading them to seek answers on their own. This questioning technique fosters a deeper understanding of complex subjects by breaking them down into manageable parts. It compels the learner to actively participate in their education rather than passively receiving information. The Socratic method helps build confidence in one's ability to reason and think independently. It creates an environment where mistakes are seen as opportunities for growth, not failures. Socrates never wrote any of his thoughts down, according to Plato's dialogues. Every idea, every argument he had was spoken aloud, echoing through the streets and courtyards of ancient Athens. His words were not preserved on papyrus scrolls, but lived in the memories of those who heard him speak. It is said that Plato diligently recorded their conversations, giving us a glimpse into Socrates' mind. The act of writing was seen by some as a limitation, unable to capture the full essence of thought. This oral tradition relied on the power of human recall and the passing down of wisdom from one person to another. This method ensured that Socrates' ideas remained fluid and adaptable to different contexts. It encouraged active engagement from listeners as they had to process and remember the words themselves. This oral transmission fostered a sense of community among those who shared these stories. The absence of written records forced people to interact directly with the philosophical concepts, deepening their understanding. His teachings were not fixed but evolved through dialogue, each exchange a unique moment of learning. The lack of written texts meant that Socrates' ideas were continually reinterpreted and adapted by those who carried them forward. This dynamic process allowed his philosophy to stay relevant across generations. As his followers shared his wisdom, they also personalized it, making it their own. Through this method of transmission, The philosophy was not set in stone, but rather grew and changed like a living organism. The very nature of oral storytelling encourages variation, as no two tellings are exactly alike. This flexibility allowed Socrates' ideas to breathe and adapt to the times, remaining fresh and relevant long after his passing. 4 years had passed since Athens' defeat in the war, when Socrates stood trial. The city still bore the scars of battle, with crumbling walls and empty streets, a reminder of the conflict's lingering impact. In the courtroom, the air hung heavy with the weight of recent history, as jurors contemplated the events that had led to this moment. The trial itself was a slow, deliberate process, each word carefully weighed against the backdrop of a city seeking to rebuild and heal from its losses. Historical records reveal that the trial took place in 399 BC, providing a concrete timeline for Socrates' fate amidst Athens' reconstruction efforts. The proceedings unfolded at a measured pace, with each testimony and argument considered meticulously by the jurors. The deliberate tempo allowed for a thorough examination of the charges against Socrates, ensuring that every aspect was carefully scrutinized. Historical documents from the time period indicate that the trial lasted for several days, providing ample opportunity for both sides to present their cases comprehensively. As the days passed, the atmosphere in the courtroom remained somber and focused, reflecting the gravity of the situation and the importance placed on reaching a just verdict. The drawn-out proceedings were designed to avoid hasty decisions, with each juror given time to consider the nuances of the case. The courtroom's deliberate pace allowed for meticulous note-taking and thorough cross-examination of witnesses. Careful transcription ensured an accurate record of every spoken word, preserving the trial's intricate details for future reference. The comprehensive documentation provided historians with valuable insights into Athenian legal practices. Socrates had associations with anti-democratic figures such as Alcibiades and Critias. This is known from ancient texts that record his interactions. He was seen conversing with them in the agora, under the shade of tall trees. These men sought to undermine Athenian democracy, a system valued for its direct representation of citizens. Their meetings were not secret, often happening during the day's heat. Socrates' connection to these figures is significant because it challenges the idea that he was solely a champion of democratic values. The philosopher's actions and associations were meticulously documented by his contemporaries, allowing modern scholars to piece together his life. Socrates' presence with these men underscores his engagement in diverse political views. His willingness to converse openly hints at a tolerance for differing ideologies. Contemporary accounts, including those from Plato and Xenophon, provide detailed narratives of these encounters. The public nature of these meetings suggests Socrates did not shy away from debate or discussion, regardless of the viewpoints involved. His dialogues with these anti-democratic figures reveal a man who explored various perspectives, valuing the exchange of ideas over strict adherence to a single creed. These interactions were integral to his philosophical method, which sought understanding through continuous questioning. They serve as evidence that Socrates' quest for knowledge was not confined by political boundaries or ideological constraints. His presence in these discussions indicates he believed in the power of discourse to uncover truth, regardless of the company he kept. Socrates' willingness to engage with these figures underscores his belief in the value of open discourse. His presence in public discussions indicates he saw merit in understanding opposing viewpoints. By conversing openly, Socrates displayed a commitment to seeking truth through dialogue. Socrates employed the Socratic method in his teaching and philosophical exploration. This approach involves questioning one's own beliefs and the beliefs of others to stimulate critical thinking. He would often engage in dialogues with individuals, asking probing questions to reveal contradictions in their reasoning. By doing so, he helped others clarify their thoughts and deepen their understanding of various subjects. The Socratic method aims to guide people towards the truth through self-discovery rather than being told what to think. This practice was documented by his contemporaries, particularly Plato, who recorded many of these conversations in his dialogues. The Socratic method encourages learners to examine their assumptions and consider alternative viewpoints. It fosters a sense of humility by recognizing that one's initial beliefs may be flawed or incomplete. Through open-ended questions, It nurtures an atmosphere where every idea can be scrutinized fairly and objectively. This methodology emphasizes the journey of learning over the acquisition of fixed answers. The Socratic method promotes active listening and reflection on both sides of the dialogue. It requires patience and a willingness to challenge one's own preconceptions. The process is iterative, with questions building upon each other to uncover deeper insights. This approach helps learners develop strong argumentation skills and a clearer sense of their own beliefs. This method can be employed in various settings, from formal classrooms to casual conversations. It requires a willingness to engage in dialogue with an open mind and a genuine desire to understand different perspectives. The power of the Socratic method lies in its ability to transform rigid beliefs into malleable ideas that can adapt to new information. This transformation is often gradual, occurring over multiple discussions and reflections. In the year 399 BCE, poison hemlock was used to end Socrates' life. The ancient Greeks knew of this plant's deadly potency, and it grew abundantly in their landscapes. A small cup of this substance would be enough. The hemlock was often brewed into a tea-like drink for ease of consumption. In Athens, where Socrates lived and taught, the use of poison as an execution method was not uncommon. Over time, the details of Socrates' final moments have been preserved through the writings of his students. The toxic plant works swiftly, ensuring a relatively quick end to his life. The toxic substance hemlock blocks the nerve signals that control breathing, leading to a peaceful yet irreversible end. Its use as an execution method was likely chosen for its reliability and swiftness. Over time, the plant's properties were studied by ancient physicians, further solidifying its infamous reputation. This knowledge of hemlock's effects has been passed down through generations, shaping our understanding of natural poisons today. The use of hemlock in executions was a somber reminder of nature's duality, as it could both nourish and harm. Its active compound, coniine, targets the nervous system, causing paralysis. Ancient observers noted symptoms such as numbness and weakness before death. The plant's effects were first documented in writings that described its physical manifestations on the body. The plant's toxicity was understood to be a result of its active alkaloid compounds, which disrupted the nervous system. Through careful observation, it was learned that the effects could vary based on dosage and individual tolerance. The symptoms were often compared to those experienced during a deep sleep, leading to the plant's name, hemlocks. Over time, the knowledge of hemlock's effects became integrated into medical teachings, providing insights into both poisoning and potential remedies. At the age of 70, Socrates was put to death by his fellow citizens on charges of impiety and corruption of the youth. This event took place in the heart of Athens, a city known for its lively debates and philosophical exploration. A jury of his peers, seated in a dimly lit chamber, reached this verdict after a trial that lasted several days. The room was filled with whispers and soft footsteps as the jurors considered Socrates' teachings. His final moments were spent among friends, discussing the nature of death and the afterlife. The method of execution chosen was drinking a mixture containing hemlock, a plant native to the Greek landscape. In the quiet of his final hours, Socrates engaged in conversation with those around him, reflecting on the ideas that had shaped his life and thoughts. As the hemlock mixture took effect, Socrates felt a gradual numbness spread through his limbs. His breath grew shallower and slower. The conversation among friends turned to more personal topics as they tried to ease his final moments. In the stillness of that small room, there was a sense of profound respect for the life and teachings of this great philosopher. The hemlock mixture acted as a potent neuromuscular blocker, preventing the transmission of signals between nerves and muscles. This paralysis began in his extremities before spreading throughout his body. Despite his physical deterioration, Socrates' mind remained clear until his final breath. The exact composition of the hemlock concoction has been lost to history, with varying accounts detailing its specifics. Socrates was indeed associated with Alcibiades and the 30 tyrants, supporting oligarchic rule in ancient Athens. This group of 30 men seized control after the Peloponnesian War, aiming to replace democracy with a governing class. Socrates' association with them is noteworthy, given his role in shaping philosophical thought. The cobblestone streets of Athens echoed with whispers of his name, tied to powerful figures like Alcibiades. Over time, historians have pieced together accounts from ancient texts, revealing Socrates' political stance. His support for oligarchy was a departure from the democratic ideals that later defined Athenian society. The dimly lit rooms where philosophers gathered reflected the intensity of their debates, including those on governance and power. Socrates' stance was a controversial move in a society that valued equality and citizen participation. His ideas spread through the conversations he had with others in the city's public spaces. The texts of Plato and Xenophon provide valuable insights into Socrates' political leanings, as do the court records of his trial. The conversations Socrates held in the agora, where citizens gathered to discuss affairs of state, further illuminated his views. His preference for oligarchy stemmed from his belief that a select few could govern wisely and fairly. Through dialectic method, he argued against the fickleness of the masses. Historical records preserve his deliberations, offering a glimpse into the intellectual currents of ancient Greece. Socrates' endorsement of oligarchy sparked debate among his contemporaries and continues to provoke discussion today. His beliefs were formed through his dialogues with others, seeking truths about governance and society. Historical documents from that era have helped shed light on Socrates' views and their implications for Athenian democracy. His methods of questioning and discourse revealed a skepticism towards the wisdom of the crowd, favoring instead a ruling elite. Socrates served in the military, including at the Battle of Potidaea and Delium. These were real battles, fought on the land and under the sky, where soldiers like Socrates stood with their shields and spears. Potidaea was a city in Macedonia, with houses made of stone and timber and narrow streets. The battlefield at Delium was open, with fields of wheat stretching out to the horizon. Socrates fought alongside his fellow Athenians, their voices raised in battle cries that echoed off the hills. It is through the writings of Plato and Xenophon that we know of Socrates' military service, for they were among those who recorded the deeds of their time. He marched through the mud and rain, his feet steady on the earth he knew so well. The weight of his armor was familiar, like an old friend. He saw the enemy approach from a distance, their movements visible against the rolling landscape. His training kicked in as he stood ready, shield at the front, spear held firm. The clash of weapons filled the air as he advanced, each swing and thrust calculated with precision. His breath misted in the cool morning air, visible clouds of determination. In the thick of combat, he could see his fellow soldiers, their faces etched with resolve. The sound of hooves signaled the approach of cavalry, adding a new layer to the symphony of battle. The soldiers' shields bore the symbol of Athens, a unifying mark amidst the chaos of battle. Their training drills in the agora had prepared them for such moments, each movement honed through repetition. The sun beat down on them as they stood firm, their shadows lengthening across the uneven terrain. Each man understood his role, knowing that victory depended not just on individual strength, but on collective discipline and coordination. Socrates supported oligarchic rule and showed contempt for Athenian democracy. He believed in the power of a select few rather than the voice of the many. This preference was evident in his writings and conversations with others. The ancient texts that have survived to this day bear witness to his views. He often critiqued the democratic processes, finding them flawed and impractical. His thoughts were shared openly, in public gatherings and private settings alike. The shadows of Athens' agora would lengthen as he spoke, the sun dipping low over the city. His words echoed off the stone walls, reaching those who listened with genuine interest. His critique highlighted the potential for tyranny within democratic structures, advocating instead for a council of wise men who would guide the city-state. This perspective was shaped by his observations of the turbulent political landscape of Athens. It was through his dialogues with fellow philosophers and citizens that these views were disseminated and debated. His distrust of the masses stemmed from their perceived irrationality and unpredictability. He saw wisdom as a rare quality bestowed upon only a select few. This idea was reinforced by his interactions with those he deemed unwise. who often seemed swayed by emotions rather than logic. His beliefs were not blindly accepted, but subject to rigorous scrutiny, as was the nature of philosophical inquiry in ancient Greece. His conversations revealed a clear disparity between his ideals and the reality of Athenian politics. The wisdom he valued was often lacking in the assembly's decisions. Through dialogue, he challenged the populace to question their own beliefs. This led many to reconsider their support for democracy, acknowledging its flaws. Socrates was born into a family of modest means. His father, Socrates, worked as an sculptor, shaping stone with his hands. Phanerete, his mother, assisted women during childbirth as a parterre. The small dwelling they shared in Athens would have been simple, with little furniture and few decorations. Light would enter through the open door or small windows, casting soft shadows on the earthen floor. Socrates' chisels and stone debris likely filled one corner of the room, while Phanerete's birthing tools and herbs rested in another. This humble upbringing shaped Socrates, instilling in him a deep respect for craftsmanship and the value of simple, everyday experiences. Over time, stories of his parents' dedication to their trades spread through Athens, providing insight into the early life of the great philosopher. The rhythm of their daily work echoed through the small home, a constant reminder to Socrates of the importance of diligence and patience. The dust from Socrates' stonework filled the air, a tangible symbol of his father's unyielding determination. Phanerete's calming presence during childbirth taught Socrates the value of empathy and care for others. Overheard conversations about the latest birth or sculpture project expanded his understanding of life's complexities. The scent of herbs and stone dust mingled in the air, creating an olfactory backdrop to Socrates' childhood. The rhythmic tapping of chisel against stone-punctuated conversations, providing a steady cadence that underscored life's ongoing progression. Each birth attended by Phanerete brought fresh lessons as newborn cries filled the home with raw emotion. The echoes of Socrates' dedication reverberated through the simple rooms, teaching Socrates the enduring value of focused work. Aristophanes, 450 BC, 386 BC, portrayed Socrates in his plays. Aristophanes was a playwright, known for his comedies that often critiqued contemporary figures and events. His works were performed on stages in ancient Athens, with actors speaking lines under the bright sunlight or torchlight of the outdoor theatre. These performances allowed audiences to see interpretations of Socrates' teachings and mannerisms. Actors wore masks, depicting characters and emotions as they moved across the wooden stage. The plays provided a forum for public discourse on philosophy, offering insights into how Socrates was perceived by his contemporaries. The masks, a fundamental part of ancient Greek theatre, ensured that each character was immediately recognizable to the audience. These masks also allowed actors to project their voices more effectively across the open-air theatre. The plays often incorporated musical interludes and choral performances, adding another layer to the presentation of Socrates' ideas. Audience members would discuss and debate the philosophical themes presented in these plays long after the performances ended. The masks enabled the actors to embody Socrates and other figures with distinct personalities, making each character's role clear. Audiences could then follow the story more easily, even from a distance. These dramatic presentations helped spread philosophical ideas beyond the confines of formal classrooms or gatherings. The combination of spoken words and visual elements in these plays made complex concepts more accessible to the general public. The wooden masks allowed actors to maintain a consistent appearance throughout the play, enhancing the illusion of each character's identity. The use of masks also served as a visual cue, helping audience members distinguish between different characters and their roles within the story. Spectators could better understand the dynamics between characters, such as Socrates and his interlocutors, due to these clear visual distinctions. These theatrical practices enabled philosophical ideas to be conveyed in an engaging and memorable manner. Socrates was indeed elected epistates of the bull. This ancient Athenian council consisted of 500 members, each representing one of the city's 10 tribes. The position of epistates was not merely ceremonial, it held significant responsibilities within the government. Socrates served in this role during his military service, demonstrating his commitment to civic duty and community involvement. His election reflected the trust and respect he garnered among his fellow citizens. This information is preserved in various historical texts, providing insights into Socrates' life beyond philosophy. His military service was compulsory for Athenian citizens, indicating the importance placed on public service. The epistate's role involved administrative tasks and ensuring council meetings ran smoothly. This aspect of Socrates' life reveals his engagement with political processes. Historical documents mentioning his election include those written by Plato and Xenophon. Socrates' role as epistates also involved maintaining order and facilitating dialogue among council members, highlighting his ability to manage diverse opinions. His duties were learned through hands-on experience and observation of previous epistates. The election process required a majority vote from the council members, signifying broad support for Socrates. Historical accounts detailing his election provide valuable context for understanding the interconnected nature of philosophy and politics in ancient Athens. His role in the boule underscored the intertwining of intellectual pursuits with public service. Socrates' experience as epistate shaped his approach to dialogue and debate, skills later applied in philosophical discourse. The responsibilities he undertook provided practical insight into group dynamics and leadership. Through these duties, Socrates witnessed firsthand the challenges and rewards of democratic governance. Socrates served on the boule during the Peloponnesian War, a body of 500 men responsible for governing Athens. This council met in the Bouleuterion, a large building designed to hold all its members. Socrates joined these meetings after long days spent as a hoplite, standing alongside his fellow soldiers on battlefields. His service in the war was not limited to political duties. He also fought as a soldier, bearing a heavy shield and spear. These experiences shaped his understanding of democracy and the responsibilities of citizenship, insights that would later be recorded by those who knew him best. Socrates' time in the boule exposed him to the inner workings of Athenian politics, observing firsthand the debates and decisions that steered the city-state. This practical experience supplemented his philosophical explorations, providing a tangible foundation for his ideas about justice and society. His presence in these gatherings allowed him to witness the dynamics of collective decision-making, which he would later analyze through dialogues with his contemporaries. Through these gatherings, Socrates saw the struggles and triumphs of Athenian leadership in real time. His observations of the boule's meetings offered lessons in compromise and consensus. These encounters also highlighted the challenges faced by those tasked with governing a diverse populace. The interactions within the Bouleuterion provided Socrates with a constant stream of material for his philosophical reflections. Socrates listened intently to the voices raised in debate, absorbing each argument's nuances. He watched as hands shot up, votes were cast, and decisions came to fruition or fell apart. The Bouleuterion echoed with passionate discourse, teaching Socrates the art of persuasion. His eyes scanned the room, noting body language and reactions, understanding the unspoken undercurrents. His anti-democratic views had turned many in Athens against him. The city was a democracy, where every adult male citizen could vote and speak at the assembly. Socrates questioned this system, believing it led to poor decisions. He thought that only those with wisdom should rule, not the majority. This upset many Athenians, who saw his views as a threat to their way of life. They accused him of impiety, claiming he did not respect their gods. They also said he corrupted the youth, filling their minds with dangerous ideas. The trial that followed was a reflection of this divide, showing how deeply his philosophy had stirred the city. His critics argued that his teachings undermined traditional values and the established order. They saw him as a disruptor, challenging the status quo with his relentless questioning. His method of engaging others in dialogue to explore ideas was seen as a subversive act, threatening the accepted norms of society. The accusations against him highlighted the tension between progressive thought and the preservation of cultural identity. His skepticism towards democracy was rooted in his conviction that wisdom is rare and should be the basis for governance. He believed that unquestioned obedience to tradition hindered the pursuit of truth. This perspective was not well received by those who valued stability above all else. It became clear that his ideas were seen as a threat when prominent citizens called for his punishment. His beliefs were not merely theoretical, they stirred real fears among the populace who saw their cherished traditions under attack. His persistent probing into foundational values caused unease, as it implied a critique of deeply held convictions. The people perceived a challenge to their collective identity, rooted in shared history and customs. This perception fueled resentment, making his trial a pivotal moment in the city's history. Socrates' accusers, 3 Athenian citizens, were allotted 3 hours to present their case. The courtroom filled with a hushed anticipation as the 3 men took their seats at the front. 3 hours, enough time for the sun to move from its zenith to mid-afternoon, casting long shadows on the stone walls of the courtroom. This duration allowed for a thorough presentation of evidence and arguments, ensuring that justice would be served fairly. The allotment was not arbitrary. It was based on the magnitude of the charges against Socrates, which required careful consideration by both the accusers and the jurors. Each man spoke in turn, their voices echoing through the chamber, as the sand in the hourglass trickled steadily, marking the passage of time. The sun's descent was a tangible reminder of the time elapsing, encouraging both accusers and jurors to stay focused on the task at hand. The courtroom's design, with high ceilings and solid walls, amplified the speakers' voices, ensuring every word reached the entire assembly. This lengthy process allowed for meticulous examination of each point presented, leaving no room for hasty decisions or oversights. The hourglass served as a constant visual cue, its steady flow emphasizing the gravity of the proceedings and the importance of each moment. Each accuser's testimony was a piece of the puzzle that needed to be carefully assembled by the jurors, with every detail scrutinized under the courtroom's harsh light. The slow passage of time ensured that no crucial aspect of the case was overlooked or dismissed prematurely. By allowing each speaker sufficient time, it became possible to dissect complex arguments and address any potential ambiguities. This deliberate pace instilled a sense of patience and thoroughness in the courtroom, fostering an environment where every voice carried weight and significance. Socrates married Xanthippe, with whom he had 3 sons, Lamprocles, Sophroniscus, and Menexenus. The marriage between Socrates and Xanthippe was a bond that lasted through their lives together in ancient Athens. The couple's home would have been filled with the sounds of children playing and growing up, as their sons were born and raised within its walls. Their house might have had simple furniture, typical of the time, where Socrates could sit and discuss philosophy while his children listened or played nearby. The family likely shared meals together at a wooden table, perhaps with Xanthippe preparing food in the small kitchen area. Neighbours would have known them as a family, seeing Socrates walking with his sons through the streets of Athens on occasion. This information about Socrates' family life comes from historical records and writings by those who knew him, providing insights into his personal life alongside his philosophical teachings. Their daily routines were likely simple yet structured, with Socrates often taking his sons to the agora for learning and interaction. The family's life was intertwined with the philosophical principles that Socrates taught and practiced. Their home would have been a place of open discourse, where questions and conversations flowed freely among family members. Through this environment, their children were exposed to diverse viewpoints, fostering an atmosphere of intellectual growth. Their evenings might have been spent around a small fireplace, with Socrates sharing stories and lessons from the day. The walls of their home could have held simple illustrations or writings that reflected their family's interests. Their neighbours likely respected them for their commitment to learning and growth. Over time, this environment shaped the future paths of Lamprocles, Sophroniscus, and Menexenus. As an Athenian boy, he learned gymnastics, music, poetry, and civic duties. His days began early with physical training in the gymnasium, the cool marble surfaces providing respite from the warm sun. The rhythm of his feet on the ground matched the beat of the orlos, its melody echoing through the open-air courtyard. Afternoons were spent memorizing verses under the shade of olive trees, their leaves rustling softly in the breeze. Evenings brought civic duties, young Socrates learning to participate in debates at the agora, the hum of conversation filling the air. Over time, these practices became ingrained in him, shaping his character and intellect. He experienced the world through physical exertion and mental exercise, each day a balance of activity and reflection. His body became accustomed to the rigor of training, while his mind grew adept at absorbing knowledge. The structured environment nurtured a deep understanding of discipline and self-control. Each lesson built upon the last, creating a solid foundation for thought and expression. His body adapted to the consistent demands of exercise, learning to endure fatigue and recover efficiently. His mind embraced the patterns in verse and debate, honing critical thinking skills and logical reasoning. The repetition of daily tasks instilled habit and routine, fostering a sense of order and stability. Through observation and practice, he acquired an intuitive grasp of rhythm, pacing himself between physical exertion and mental focus. His breath synchronized with the steady tempo of his steps, reinforcing the harmony between mind and body. Each deliberate motion of the oros taught him to control his breathing, enhancing his stamina. The tactile sensation of olive tree leaves beneath his fingers grounded his thoughts in the present moment. His voice resonated within the agora's walls, guiding him to find his own rhythm in speech. The charges against Socrates were brought by Meletus, Anytus, and Lycon. These three men accused Socrates of impiety and corrupting the youth. The court records from that time document their names. Athens, where this trial took place, was a city known for its lively debates. A stone tablet inscribed with the charges still exists today, preserved in the Agora Museum. The trial occurred in an open-air space under the vast sky of ancient Greece. Each accuser spoke their piece before the assembled crowd. It is said that Socrates himself questioned each man, seeking clarity on their accusations. The accusers' words echoed through the gathering, their voices carrying over the heads of the onlookers. Each man detailed Socrates' alleged misdeeds with conviction. Some in the crowd murmured in agreement, while others remained silent, their expressions unreadable. As each accuser concluded his speech, Socrates would nod thoughtfully, pondering the next steps in his defense. The atmosphere was tense as the accusers spoke, their words laden with gravity and intent. Each allegation hung heavily in the air, challenging Socrates' reputation. The crowd's murmurs grew louder with each accusation, reflecting a mix of emotions and thoughts stirred by the charges. The trial's open setting allowed for a palpable sense of witnessing history unfold, as the philosophical clash between Socrates and his accusers played out under the ancient Greek sky. The trial's public nature meant that every word exchanged was scrutinized by the gathered citizens. This transparency aimed to ensure justice was seen as well as heard. The open-air setting also facilitated a natural airflow, which could have been perceived as a symbol of the free flow of ideas and debate. Over time, historians have studied ancient texts and artifacts to reconstruct this trial's atmosphere, providing insight into the societal values and judicial practices of the era. Socrates' teachings were preserved by his students, particularly Plato and Xenophon. This means that the ideas and lessons of Socrates did not disappear after his death. Instead, they live on through the writings of these dedicated followers. Plato, who was born in Athens around 427 BCE, recorded many of Socrates' dialogues and conversations. His work offers a detailed account of Socrates' teachings, making it possible for future generations to understand his philosophy. Xenophon also played a significant role, documenting the wisdom shared by Socrates. Through their meticulous recording, the thoughts and methods of Socrates have been passed down over centuries, ensuring that his philosophical legacy endures. The writings of Plato and Xenophon have allowed Socrates' ideas to be studied in modern times. Without their efforts, much of what we know about Socratic philosophy might have been lost. Their detailed accounts provide insights into the way Socrates approached teaching and learning. Over time, these records have influenced many thinkers and shaped philosophical discourse. Their diligent notes and careful recollections have ensured that Socrates' words and methods can still be analysed today. They carefully transcribed the discussions they witnessed, creating a valuable record of Socratic thought. Their dedication to documenting these interactions allowed for a comprehensive understanding of Socrates' teachings. These written accounts provide a window into the conversations and debates that defined Socrates' approach. Without these writings, our grasp of Socratic method would be incomplete. They captured the essence of his teachings through detailed transcription. This allowed for careful study and analysis over time. Their work provides a foundation upon which modern philosophical thought is built. The Socratic method involves questioning one's own beliefs and the beliefs of others to stimulate critical thinking. This practice encourages a deep examination of ideas, slowly peeling back layers of understanding. Plato's writings, particularly his dialogues featuring Socrates, provide a window into this process. Through these conversations, Socrates probes and prods, gently guiding his interlocutors towards clarity. The light in the room where they discuss flickers softly, casting long shadows that seem to stretch the conversation further. Over time, the questions asked by Socrates become a tool for both him and those he engages with, prompting a constant reassessment of what is known and believed. These dialogues not only reveal Socrates' method, but also demonstrate its profound impact on critical thinking. Each exchange becomes a small step in the journey of understanding, as if walking along a winding path where each turn reveals a new perspective. The process is not hurried, rather, it allows for moments of contemplation and reflection, much like pausing at a vista to appreciate the view. This deliberate pace ensures that no detail is overlooked, no question left unanswered. In this manner, clarity emerges organically, as if the light in the room gradually brightens to illuminate hidden truths. As Socrates' interlocutors grapple with each query, their understanding deepens like roots growing in soil. This careful questioning leads to a gradual unraveling of misconceptions, much like the slow unknotting of a tangled thread. The process is patient and methodical, allowing for mistakes to be corrected naturally along the way. Each exchange is an opportunity to re-examine previously held beliefs, gently guiding towards more accurate comprehension. In the 5th century BCE, Socrates encountered Zeno of Elea and Parmenides. This meeting occurred in a quiet room where philosophers often gathered to discuss ideas. The space was small, with simple stone walls and a wooden table. A single oil lamp provided dim light, casting long shadows across the room. Socrates sat at the table, his eyes reflecting the flickering flame. Zeno and Parmenides stood nearby, their voices low as they engaged in conversation. The meeting lasted for hours, with each philosopher taking turns to speak. Their words filled the air, creating a sense of intellectual exchange. As the night wore on, the lamp burned lower, casting an even dimmer glow over the group. The room's simplicity emphasized the importance of their words over surroundings. Their voices echoed softly in the enclosed space, each syllable resonating with thought. The lamp's flame danced gently, as if mirroring the ebb and flow of their discourse. The meeting ended only when the first light of dawn began to creep through the small window. Their ideas lingered in the room long after they had left, as if the very air retained their thoughts. The meeting's purpose was to challenge conventional wisdom, a task they undertook with meticulous precision. Their understanding of the world deepened, each new insight building upon the last. The echoes of their discussion were later documented by others, ensuring their ideas lived on. Their deliberations were methodical and thorough, each argument carefully constructed to reveal the underlying truths of their beliefs. The room's stillness allowed for uninterrupted thought, ensuring every nuance was considered and explored. Their words carried a weight that transcended mere conversation, leaving an indelible mark on those who witnessed their discourse. Through such exchanges, they cultivated a shared understanding that would influence philosophical thought for centuries to come. And that is where we will leave Socrates for tonight. The facts will still be true tomorrow, and this video will still be here whenever you need it. Sleep well.